what,
and we'll wait
what
until
I
7
experienced
o'clock.
that the family had
The
when I
Zoom-
was younger.
The Zoom calls in which somebody is babbling
the-
away and it's like,
Shot in his
turn on
room.
mute.
We had an
mute yourself.
icebox.
Okay, so,
with all the-
see.
He just couldn't, he thought.
so I
that
just
was
have
part
to
of
see if
the Zoic area or something.
else wants to
Did your
join.
family have an icebox, ever?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Well, let me put it this way.
You have a, is there another one of those documents in your right hand?
Frigidaire.
Is there one?
Yeah, so
Great,
Yeah, Eli.
Good.
does.
I spoke was because the
great.
Frigidaire
Thank
was
you. Thank you
a
very
new
much.
wonder.
it's a good.
Right.
So
Summary.
Yeah, it is a good summary.
younger than you, it's the reason.
I think I couldn't find one.
No,
in the
my first,
minutes, but
my
do
first
we really have, do we really have
remembrance
three of
was
them to
not
approve
getting
now?
ice. It was
I
having
found two of them.
Two, because we
Okay.
did July
One had a mis-
20.
Frigidaire, but
What?
they were called
Right near
Frigidaires.
your Jane, your name.
Oh,
That was the only thing, the only thing that I had to complain about.
What
with
we
it.
did have for heat
you
was a
remember the
pot belly
date?
stove in the living room.
And
And
No, do you
this was
remember the
heated
date
by
of the
coal.
minutes?
The
Which that
20,
pot belly
We
stove.
have the
coal.
27th and
the
August 1.
first and the
if you have a
third.
printout, I can probably find it real quick and just point out.
So there's two
I
copies.
remember we
there.
got a gas
Not that.
furnace,
Just circle it if you have a pen.
ninth grade. So all the way up to that time, now we lived on the third,
I looked at that, it looked
Basement.
okay, but you found something, Ken?
I thought,
Gotta
but
put
I don't see it.
hole in the furnace.
No, wait a minute.
I
wait a
get
minute.
on 3 flights of steps.
Oh, no.
And the coal
It's okay.
bin was
You know where
over
that's
here
at?
and the furnace was over here.
Recorded.
So every thing of coal, you had to carry it all the way across.
Any
Maybe,
questions? I
maybe it
think-
needs another comma there, but
Yeah.
it could use a period, but it
Yep.
doesn't need to.
Yep,
It's
I
okay.
vote for a period.
It's a matter of just plain
grew up with a whale.
reading it.
How you read
Grew up
it.
with a whale.
You could read it with emphasis without any trouble. I just didn't when I did it. Right after you put the
Never
tab.
lived anywhere with it.
Recorded? Oh, okay.
That's where I'd put one, but it doesn't have to be there.
You know, you gotta know, the gauge doesn't know.
Oh, that makes sense. So as amended,
You know.
Yep.
So it was
Right.
seven. We grew up with a
And
family
and
of
that would be
seven.
August 1.
Oh, wow. We're in Connecticut, right?
Okay.
Jane, it's 7
Massachusetts
o'clock.
way.
Okay, so it is now 7 o'clock, excuse me, everyone. And I will now open the meeting. And I would like to remind everybody that we are on HCAM and we are being recorded. And I would just like to open the meeting by saying I have a summer cold. I tested negative, but I'm just on, I don't want you to get my summer cold. I sound worse than I feel good, but I sound worse. Does anyone need a copy of the agenda? We have extra copies here, okay? So, first of all, I would like to take questions and comments from the public. And if you would like to say something, you could raise your hand and unmute yourself, and please feel free to participate. So we only have one participant tonight.
Ask her about it.
She doesn't have her hand up.
She doesn't have her hand up.
You seem
Hi, Mary Ellen.
So feel free to, do you have a comment or a question? You would be welcome to ask it or state it at this time. But hearing none, we will move on. So the working goals for the FY '23, we are going to continue our discussion, and this is going to be led by Eli again. So thank you, Eli, for this work.
At our last meeting, we approved some of the goals and we had language changes for others. On this sheet dated August 5th, I divided the goals into two groups. The first ones are the ones we approved. Let me just go over them very quickly. Get them out of the way. We're going to resubmit the Mass Trails grant for the segment from East Main Street to Hopkinton Park. We're going to work with the 26.2 Foundation to make sure our trail is accommodated. We're going to work with the newly created Americans with Disability Act to make sure
So we're coming back up. Okay. Sorry for that interruption. We should be all set now.
at some point, the full committee will determine,
What number you want, Elon?
number 4.
Okay.
At some point, the full committee will determine, our request for CPC funding. And then 5, we're gonna identify the route segments that can go into feasibility or pre-feasibility studies. And that could include Echo Trail along Granite, north to, Route 85, north to Hughes, and we need to, once we identify them, we need to prioritize them and implement the studies. So we agreed on all those 5, and I don't think we should enter into discussions on it.
Correct.
Number 6 to number 10, we discussed and had changes. I used my own judgment in making the changes, but we may want to reconsider them. I just want to state something that's obvious. These goals are not self-executing, and wishing them doesn't make them true. The committee needs to do work to make any one of them happen. Number 6 is we want to simplify the route segments, presentation to the general public and the select board. I think that mostly involves Matt and Dave, neither of whom are here today. So. But we generally agreed on that based on the confusion that
I don't know, I think we can work on that independent of them.
well, not
We-
tonight.
Theoretically.
I think it's just an overall goal, and that's his
Overall
opinion.
goal, I'm fine with that, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I'm not,
yeah, we
Not
can
complaining about
figure
the
that
goal.
out as we go along.
So is that, excuse me, the chair. So does this mean that 6, we're in agreement?
Yeah,
Okay,
makes sense.
thanks.
It's good. Number 7 is we want to compile a list of all the open issues known to us and prioritize them and resolve them as time allows. And I limited the ones that we're aware of, like the Tennessee grass easements and some of the others. And then I think it was Scott recommended that we post updates so the general public knows where we stand.
Well, our minutes are the updates.
Right.
Our minutes are updates.
Yes, yeah.
They are, but I guess the point, and it reads that way, Eric, what I meant was manage the expectations of the general public in terms of, for example, not to go into the detail, but I started to review some of the stuff from Michelle from last meeting, and so I'll scope out the effort and I'll say X number of weeks from now, the committee will review, a summary of that, a couple weeks after that or a month after that, we'll do this. And then, what I mean? It's more just creating a timeline because the public since December has obviously, as you've heard, has been vocal about saying, hey, where is it? So now we'll just tell them, here's where we are.
Yeah.
And we're 50% done or whatever.
So
I think that was the intent. was
do
that
you
manage it.
think your thoughts are included in number 7? And can we agree on that?
Sure, if
That
everybody,
allow you the flexibility? I mean, I'm in agreement with that.
yeah, it allows me the flexibility. If Eric, if you agree
I
at that
don't
last
have a
point.
problem.
Okay,
As long as we're not setting firm targets for timelines.
I'm just gonna tell when I'll have certain stages completed of
Correct.
the aggregation.
And that will be fluid in that,
Exactly.
depending on our status.
We could get an influx of feedback and then that pushes back dates.
Or pushes it ahead.
Or we may not accomplish what we want to do.
Correct.
So we're saying, we told you 2 weeks, but it's gonna be,
Yeah, it may not make it to the agenda because of other items, but,
Right.
but I'm
We
gonna
can
go through the
explain
process.
Why we can or cannot meet that
Correct.
goal.
Yeah, more just keeping it in the forefront of the public's eyes that we are working on it as opposed to, we'll get back to you.
I agree.
Okay, thanks.
We'll agree. Okay. Number 8,
So we agree.
Yes.
we agree. Number 8 is to review and examine what's called the Western Approach, which is the Trails Club plan, and review it with the same degree of diligence we review all the other segments that are before the committee. And that includes the bridge over 85, wetlands determination. And we need to work with the Trails Club to make sure that the data is accurate and ultimately decide the feasibility of this alternative.
it's fine with me.
Does everyone agree on that?
Fine, with it, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, agree.
Good. Number 9 is, we had a poor showing at the last workshop. And this was Scott's recommendation that we try to elevate the level of community engagement by several times. And also consider the establishment of Friends of the Upper Charles Trail Committee.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
I would propose to strike the last sentence just because I think it created confusion because of our charter. And I think that maybe when I come back to this group, and I've made progress, when I come back with the proposed approach to engage the community, then I think you guys will see that maybe we'll have liaisons or appoint people for different segments of the population. But I think creating a friends of is a bit of a bold attempt.
Through the chair,
Agree with-
Um,
I think
So,
we're gonna end
hang on.
up there. but-
Eric. Cynthia had her hand up.
through the chair. There is a Friends of the Upper Charles Committee when you look on the website. However, on the Upper Charles website, not Hopkinton. And is that specific to a town? I'm asking because I now need to go and look that up and see if that's the case.
That's a good
Is
question.
there one and all for one?
I think there is not.
There is not. I know Milford has an active one. I'm not sure about Holliston.
Okay.
A separate.
Holliston has a separate one,
Mhm.
and they are separate.
And I know from the one in Milford, it's fallen apart because of leadership. It's not an easy thing to do. You need somebody. But right now, we don't have an active Friends group. But I'm okay leaving it out and knowing that it's an item that'll be considered as part of the general.
Eric, did you have something to add?
No, I agree with Scott, just knock that last sentence off and
Mhm.
it'll evolve.
I think it will evolve after the trail is built.
I agree.
I'm
Okay,
pretty much in agreement as well.
Okay,
okay, great. We all agree on number 9.
good. We're up to number 10, it was just to prioritize the route segments. And evaluate them and make them available to the select board and the town, including all of our recommendations on design and whatever. This was a general goal that,
I think it's important just to make sure that we keep this in mind as a general goal.
Yep.
Because so much is going on right now. But it's not a bad idea to have that there.
It's very connected to 6.
Yeah,
So
it is.
that's why it just seems like more detailed to 6, but I'm fine leaving it if they.
okay, good. Okay,
Feel that we agree on number 10.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Scott. Maybe we ought to put them next to each other somehow, 6 and 10, but
Or indented under 6 and we have 9.
yeah, something like that, but
Well, do you want to add it to 6 or do you just want
think
to
it-
eliminate
I
it?
think it's,
I think you can leave it, as long as we all acknowledge that if we,
yeah,
when we get to implementation in a minute, if we divide and
How about
conquer,
if-
two groups are working on 6 and 10, they'll be doing overlap. So I think the
That's right.
same group of people work on 6 and 10.
Do we make number 10 number 7 and just change the
Well-
numbers so they're closer together?
we haven't voted on any of the priorities yet, right?
It's more of a
No, but
number
this
scheme.
is an administrative thing.
This is just.
Taking number 10 and making it number 7 and making
I'm
7,
fine
8.
with that, but
Yeah, it's not.
It's not changing
it's-
anything.
Yeah, it's not changing anything and these
But
are,
to-
you know.
When I'm
movable.
hearing the thought is that it's close to
Yeah,
6.
I agree.
Sure, keep
I
it,
will- I
keep
will
it
do
close
that.
in proximity.
Yeah, so it's easier to
Do
talk
that on the
to.
next-
You like a motion, Madam Chair, on these 10 things?
Good.
Okay,
Make a motion that, we adopt the goals as indicated in the presentation by Eli, with the exception that number 10 becomes 7 and the rest follow consecutively.
And number 9 strikes the last sentence.
And number 9 strikes the last sentence.
I second that motion.
Okay, do we get that? Well, I can give you this.
what word did you use, Eric, except with the changes, with the amendments? Do you remember what word you used? Put you on the spot.
Talker, you never remember what you
close to
said.
that.
Okay, I'll figure it out. I won't do it
Well-
now. Quote. Okay, made a motion to accept.
The motion to accept the minutes as amended to consider number
With
10
moving
number
number
10
10
to number 7
to
Oh, and then
and then
all the
follow,
others
the others follow
all
consecutively.
others to follow consecutively.
And to strike the last sentence in number 9.
Yeah, I already got that.
Okay,
And
we're gonna vote.
just a moment,
She's
This is
writing.
very important. I'm out of touch. I haven't done lake weeds.
I've watched you take minutes in other committees and you're like a
Don't
machine.
distract her.
And to strike, okay, I just did that. This. I'm ready. And that was seconded, so all
Was
in,
seconded by
yes,
Eli.
so all in,
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Well, Eli, thank you for all that work.
wonderful.
Great job.
Yeah.
Eli has overdone it. You've overdone yourself.
Well, thank you.
Good job.
It is a great job and it looks very simple here. It looks very, very
Clear.
precise. Thank you. That's the
Yeah.
perfect word. And I know how difficult that is to do. So,
Yeah, we've always done them in the past, but I think the challenge this year is that we're moving, the progress we've made over the last 2 years has been tremendous and, you know, we need to keep up with that and recognize that. So great, good job. So the next step is implementing the goals. So, okay, so to go back to what Eli said, these are not going to happen by themselves. And I know Scott has mentioned and others have mentioned that we need to prioritize them. And rather than make one number 1 or 2, or maybe we could, this is just a thought, make working groups and have folks take off and run with different aspects so that they're all important. That's just
I
a thought.
agree.
Okay, so Eli,
I volunteer to be on a committee to review number 8, the Western approach. I have a background on that years ago. I was a chair of a subcommittee to examine routes in that area, working with Brian. Ken, what's, forget his last name.
No, Brian Fitzgerald,
Not Brian.
let's see, the chief of police, Flannery, Rick Flannery,
Rick Brown and Peter,
Peter LaGoy.
right.
That was a good working group.
And I see my role here is really nagging Dave and Matt, and to some extent Eric, to do the work. But I've learned to graciously nag people, so I'm okay.
He knows
I like that
operating
word,
from the
graciously nag
Who
people.
talks first wins.
Yeah, that's why you and I kind of.
I also volunteer Scott to handle number 9.
Have to, since no, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
The current
Since I've
number
already
9.
started the frame, drafting a proposed approach.
Oh, good. So that would fall into play nicely.
Yeah.
And just to make clear, it's the current number 8, soon to become number 9.
Sure.
It's the current number 9, soon to become number 10.
All right, I'll volunteer for the current, or the to be number 9, to review and examine Western approach.
With Eli.
With Eli?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, wait a minute. You said the number 9, but you meant number 8.
Current
But
8.
current, it's
Yeah.
going to be the new number 9.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just talk current because it's on the paper
Okay.
in front of us for this purpose.
Eric, you're actually going to work with me?
You bet.
Eli will work from Cornell's, but we will work.
Yeah. It's close
There you
enough.
go.
I mean,
That's right.
There you go.
I got a question here. Just a it's not really protocol, but is this, right now,
Want to
this,
keep it positive.
no, right now, this is a goals subcommittee meeting, right? Or is this the whole meeting?
This is the whole
So,
It's the whole
batch of
meeting.
us.
is it, so, I mean, everybody was invited, like Bob, and so, but
Yeah,
anyway.
Bob, oh, I'm sorry, I should have said, Bob can't make it for the whole month of August. He's traveling.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And Jim can't make it. I should have opened with that.
And do we have a new member that we haven't met?
Not yet, no alternate. I think he's stuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
the new alternate. I do not know.
Oh, the alternate, yes.
Okay, there might yet be,
There might,
but anyway, the other people that aren't
I've
here.
not been notified that we have one.
The other people that aren't here can also weigh into which goals they want to work on at the next meeting or something, right? That's all.
Yes, because to follow our path from the past,
Yeah.
we welcomed folks from
And
the outside. Peter Uruguay, for instance, was on that past committee.
and
Yeah,
Jane,
Let's let's think this through a minute.
Mhm.
How many do we want on a committee to
Just,
study an individual point?
I think
Subcommittee.
three.
I would,
Three.
2 or
Yeah,
3.
3 at the most.
yeah, I think a couple is good.
We're never gonna get there going around with us. I think we need to appoint a couple of us to come up with a facsimile of what it would look like and then discuss it from there. If your name's on a committee, if you got no use for the next meeting, say, geez, I can't do that one, or
That's a good idea. So sort of scope it out and figure
Yep.
out the plan of action. I like that a lot.
yeah,
So with that suggestion I would say that I'll plan out a plan of action or whatever for the current number 6, which is route simplifications. I'll take on that one.
Current
I've already done a little bit of thinking, truth be told, so I have some. We should simplify the route and segment options. The present, again, it's not doing the work, but to Eric's point, it's sort of framing it up and saying, okay, here's what I think is needed, and then I think the rest of the group. can
what I'm saying is who's gonna be on the committee?
Oh, I mean, to,
He's saying limited to number 2 or 3. And then the
Need 3
subcommittee,
by 3 for each point.
I know, we need two, at least two.
And
All right, well, 2 or 3.
right,
We need somebody, we don't even have the whole committee here. We need somebody like Jane and whoever she picks to help her to say, okay, number 2, that's something, the 26.2 Foundation,
Mhm.
Museum Project, who knows Ken Kildoff best here? Well, that's me. Okay?
Yep. I would work with you on that. I'd be happy to to work with you on that.
I thought, I'm sorry, I misunderstood point. I thought we were just gonna zip down the points and get at least two people to start
Yes.
a little legwork on it. But-
Yes,
Just another
Right, that was
protocol.
my
When we
thought.
have three, we gotta post meetings, right? But
Yes.
two, we don't.
Correct.
Two is right. Good.
That's an advantage to two, right? I'd say. big.
Yeah,
All right, two
Yes,
per.
and just,
That's 20 assignments.
yep,
And we only have 7 of us, so,
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
and just as a reminder that the subgroups would then come back to report to the committee when they're ready.
Fair
The
enough.
subgroups can let me know when they're ready. I'll post it on the agenda.
Also, the subgroups can handle what we consider the most important items, and after 6 months, it might be a different set of subgroups to handle different items.
At our first meeting, we could accomplish a goal.
Right,
We don't talk about it anymore,
right.
so.
So Jane, you don't be shy. Is there anything that you,
Well, I think we have a lot here to think about.
I'll go for 3, 5, and 7 since I haven't said anything.
I'd love to work on 3 with you, Ken.
Okay.
Just-
Fair enough. That sounds good. But we get to work at Cornell's or wherever.
Hey,
I'll, we'll
anything,
get to decide where, right?
we get to
Sort of
decide where.
tables. We need that to be
Sid,
another
did I
goal.
miss something?
Someone's gonna
Did
make
you
reservations.
volunteer to work on all 3 with Ken?
Oops,
No,
oh,
just-
number
Or
3.
just number 3?
Which was the other one that you?
I said,
You said
identify trail
3,
routes that test
5.
for feasibility, and I can, or you,
He said 3, 5, and 7.
yeah. And 7 is somewhat similar to 5 in that
It
both of them are
is.
listed priorities, sort of, kind of, but
Uh-huh.
one of them is feasibility priorities and the other is open issues, so.
We're talking about not the new number 7, we're talking about this
The
sheet.
current, we're talking about this.
Part of
sheet.
us.
Oh, Ken, I'm already working on 7, so I'll team up with you on that one as well.
Okay,
The
so,
feedback, I've started with Michelle.
Oh,
Isn't that the one or am I,
this is it.
where's the
That's
feedback?
9.
no,
No,
feedback
that's
to number
engaged.
7.
7 also.
7 is the feedback. I've been working with Michelle.
I still, I don't thought you meant.
Oh, yeah, I could use the help. There's a lot of
Okay.
emails to go
That's,
through and,
that's good.
yeah.
That's
All right, I
great.
want 2 and 8.
Also,
And 8, Eric's on that.
Eli's on 8, I think.
Yep. You, okay. Let's just kind of take a look at number 1
Yep.
through the chair, Jane.
yep, sure.
Resubmitting that application,
That's
wouldn't
just
make
a
any
phone
sense.
call.
yeah,
to-
it wouldn't make any sense. So Jane, you, Eli? who-
Well, I can certainly make a phone call to Dave.
It's Dave, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Here, Dave.
good.
That's not very hard, right?
No,
Okay,
that's just,
great. And then we have number 2, Eric and Sin. Number 3, Ken and Sin. And then number 4, file for CPC funds. Any thoughts on that?
you look at, well, let's look at that. Prophecy P funds.
I'm on CPC, so I should have that one.
Okay,
Hopefully that'll be the group anyways, right?
I'll help you work on that because there might need to be an application here or there.
Okay,
And-
good.
Um,
You and me.
yeah,
So I'm with Sin on
way
2.
around the applications. So number 5, identify the trail route segments that can immediately enter into feasibility or pre-feasibility studies, and it could be the Echo Trail, Greenwich Street, Hughes.
yeah,
That's
Um,
Ken and
Ken, I'm
Someone
willing
else.
to work with you on that.
Jane.
Ken and Jane, that makes a lot of sense.
Not to show up to a meeting.
So, when we get our other guys in, like Brian and, Bob and. Jeff,
Sure, they can jump on board, and if they do jump on board,
Just
it's
sign one
free.
to them. What the hell?
well, it's 2 versus 3.
You don't show to a meeting, you get.
No, we just post the meeting and somebody has to
That's
take
why I joked,
minutes. That's
pays
the,
not to show up.
so let's
Let's not worry about that now.
let's not worry about that right now. That's a simple thing.
Okay, fair
Okay, then
So now we're at number
number
6,
6.
by the
is
group.
we have
That's me.
Scott.
Yep, and anybody else want to do that with me or
Why don't we give you,
I can still work on that.
Bob?
Well, then it just occurred to me that we've got Bob and.
Yeah, we
and
can
Jim.
do Bob. We'll just tell
Bob's
Bob
on 6 with,
you would.
with
Bob
Scott.
Bob would be great.
Sounds good.
Bob's
Yeah.
the- Bob Snyder, you've met him. Yeah, great.
So then we've got number 7, compile, examine, and prioritize a list of open.
Oh,
Button.
and that's what I've already started with Michelle. Is Michelle considered, part of our group or no?
Oh, but Jim would be really good with you on that.
No, but Michelle has to be included.
Yeah, but
As you
that's okay.
mentioned, because that's like us
She won't
including
keep
Dave
up
on
our
number
meeting
1.
laws, because she's not on the committee.
Okay, that's where I was going.
So
Okay.
you guys need to include her in the conversation.
Yeah, I met with her
But you
last week on
bring
it.
back, you bring
Put
back
Jim
the,
down on 7.
the
Okay,
information.
7, Jim.
Jim, on 7.
And you've been bumped.
Are I still on it or?
Ken, it's you and me and 8, I think.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that was Eli and Eric.
Ken doesn't need to be bumped from that by any.
No, but one of you
That's
3 are
great.
gonna have to post minutes.
Come on, I'm the boss.
Well, I don't know, let's keep going.
Eli, whatever you say goes, Bill.
Okay.
So Ken, do you
Well-
wanna do that and be
So-
responsible for posting minutes and
Well,
taking minutes?
Well,
Who's left with 8? I don't know.
Could- okay,
Okay, so
Let's talk
8.
with Jim, that might
No,
not.
we have Eli and I already.
Okay, fine.
So if Jim doesn't wanna do it, Ken can go back on.
Right.
On what?
Sorry, we're going back to
7.
7 if we don't mind for a second. So there doesn't necessarily have to be, we can divide and conquer. There's enough work to do. We don't have to be meeting all the time. So I think there's enough work for 3 people and we don't have to have a 3-person meeting.
but the third
Covered it, we'll
person
talk
is
about it.
Kim Charakamoli, right? The third person is Kim and
Jim.
she's not a member of
Jim.
this.
Yeah, I am.
Jim, I thought you were meaning Kim.
Jim Sir Macaulay. So
Person.
Michelle
We need
is
Kim.
part of the group, but you're
Okay,
right,
Kim.
she's
Okay.
not,
Thank you.
she's not a member, so we don't have to take
Let me
minutes.
give you the coup de
Exactly.
grace. Number 10,
Thank you.
Bob and Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Minute, we're
No comment.
number 8.
8 is done. It's Eli and me.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
Number
Eli
9,
was on there.
Scott.
Well,
Number 9,
And what I propose is I'll come back to the group and it's fine. I'll be ready for next meeting if you want, or whatever next meeting you want. I'll present just a couple slides of what I propose, just the approach. And at that point, you guys react to it and then we see who's on the committee.
Right.
So I don't think we have to assign someone else since I've already done 80% of the
I
outline.
agree. I
Okay.
agree.
Fair enough.
Good.
no, that's fine.
All right, good.
So we're at number 9.
Already did it.
That's what we just talked about.
Yep.
Okay, so that's,
That's Scott bringing in
got it. I
one
was
else's,
lost, I
someone's,
missed a minute.
And 10 is Bob and Jim.
Bob and Jim.
Okay.
If you're not here, you're gonna get assigned to something. That's right. It's important to come to the minutes. All right, so
You need a, motion?
yes,
Think so, just.
no,
need a vote.
no, because this is just next step, so we don't need a motion.
Okay,
If
well,
you
we got our
wanna
next.
Make one, I wouldn't.
No, I don't think we need to.
Just
Ed
trying,
wants
just
to
trying
make
to
a
move it
motion.
along.
I got a question though,
Sure.
about 3, since I'm on it. But does anyone happen to know whether they have really assigned people to this, American?
I looked and I have not seen that yet.
Okay, so I'll just keep I'll.
Yeah, Zip's on that too, so
Yeah.
that would just be
Yeah,
a
I'm
simple
gonna
call
Do some homework and
Yeah,
dig
yeah.
around and see,
to, Elaine or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
because at this point, I'm not sure.
Who's
there
with
is-
Ken on 3?
Me.
Then,
Finish. Yeah.
So if, through the chair, may I go through very quickly?
yes, yeah,
Number 1 is Jane.
yeah,
And talking to Dave. Number 2, Eric and Sin. Number 3, Ken and Sin. Number 4, Eric and Jane. Number 5, Ken and Jane. Number 6, Scott and Bob. 7, Ken, Scott, and Jim.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8, Eric.
well,
and-
we were talking about, do you wanna go, on this one, Ken?
Yeah, I'm still fine. with it.
Okay,
And number
so
8,
just so that you know, you have to
So long as.
When we
post the minutes.
meet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you
We
meet.
don't have to do it yet, so.
yeah,
and
if
you-
you're doing things individually and you're not in the
Correct.
same room, you're okay.
And we have to check with
Oh,
Jim.
I guess I ought to ask formally, if there's 3 people on it, but only 2 of them are meeting at any one time, is that okay?
Yes.
Well,
No, well,
because you got a majority of your committee.
it's a subgroup.
And I don't know if it
If he's an
qualifies.
official part of
Maybe
the
we need Elaine
subgroup.
to weigh in or something.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know the answer.
Confuse ourselves. Let's just go with 2.
Mhm.
It won't bother anybody. We won't have to even make minutes of it.
So we could take, if Ken wants to be on it, we can take Jim off of it.
Excuse me, what we could do, talk to Jim. I think there's enough work and I don't mind quarterbacking it because I've already gone through all the inventory of everything we have. I just haven't gone through the details, so I can ship over to Ken spreadsheet or emails or. It's up
To
to
be
you.
perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure Jim is going to be agreed to be on it right
Okay,
now
okay.
because
May take them off.
Okay.
others,
Okay.
he's very busy. with
Okay.
Right.
stuff.
Then let's
well,
do
that's fair.
that. Let's remove Jim
Yeah,
and we'll talk with him as soon as we can.
Yeah, we will
see what
talk
he's
with
up
him.
for. Moving on, number 8 is Eric and Eli.
yeah.
Number 9 is Scott at the helm, who may bring back things and somebody else may jump on. And number 10 is Bob and Jim.
Good.
Nice,
Good. Okay,
Like it.
great.
liaison report.
Good job. So liaison reports, and we'll start with Ken.
Yeah.
This is a major accomplishment.
It's huge, huge. Thank you, everyone.
Yep, it really is. Great job.
I guess I don't know whether you sent what I wrote out to everybody or not, but I'll
No.
just go over it briefly. So I wrote about a page out of this MAPC meeting that was basically driven by David
Okay, so
Lutzenheiser.
Ken, can you just?
Meeting, I can't. hear.
Okay, so this is a meeting that was at Hopkinton State Park at the newly constructed cupola below the dam there.
Mhm.
By the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, which means David Lutzenheiser, and he had some woman whose name I didn't catch working with him there. There's
This
a,
is an MAPC project?
Yes,
Mhm.
so you know how those go.
Oh,
but Ken's been going to them for a while, so have I. I
So-
just couldn't go this
So there
year.
were representatives from all over, about mostly Middlesex County towns, but a lot of them near here. I don't want to be too long-winded about it. I thought it was impressive how much interest there was. I mean, there were two guys from Framingham there who I'd never met before. Framingham is apparently interested in being a hub for the trail system. They've got the Freeman Trail coming in from Lowell from the north down the old rail line. And they're interested in having trails go across all those dikes. And they also have the Cochituate Trail on the eastern side of Framingham going into Natick. And so they would also like to connect to the Upper Charles Trail system through Ashland or Sherborne somehow. Anyway, just to say that
Yes.
they are interested in doing that.
That's great.
There was, the people that were there from Hopkinton were Chuck Dotchie, Peter Lagoy, John Ritz, and me. And, it took an hour and a half, and we ended up walking around. One of the things of interest to us is I introduced myself to Kevin Hollenbeck. You must know him, right? I reiterated our plans, and so the whole group of us walked up a little bit towards the road there, up the slope. There's this gravel thing that goes up towards, is it how, I always forget. It is House Street, right? I like to think of it as Wilson, since that's the Hopkinton name, but it changes in Ashland. And, he was pointing out that, if it was gonna be a handicap path, that gravel path is too steep to get up there, and they need to have another alternative way within the park even
Would have
to get to the
zigzag.
top of the dam.
switchback.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, they don't have
Mhm.
one. So, I said that we were gonna switch back up the trail and, further from that. And so, and that we were interested in working with the park, and, he seemed to say that, he said that we need to decide whether we want to enter at the dam or at the parking lot below. And so, I don't know. What I'd say that depends on them, really.
it does, and that's why if I could just
I want to
interrupt.
meet them right in the middle of the dam.
Well, if I could just interrupt.
Yeah.
We met with them many times.
Yeah, so I thought.
And we walked the trails, and what
Right.
they have asked us for is 2 plans. And so that's one of the things we have to enter an agreement with VHB,
Okay.
is to pre-feasibility study those 2 routes.
Right.
We already did it.
Mhm.
If you look at, I think it's, I don't know what number it is on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
webpage,
Right.
but they're already there.
Yeah, well, we don't have plans on the ground for just where the switch packs would be, but there's
Well,
plenty
I
of land.
think we do. I
There's-
think we do.
Well, I've seen kind of lines
This
scratched,
is
but
interesting. Where does the town of Ashland start? If we're going down,
No, that's a good
No,
point.
it starts in Hopkinton State Park.
No, it's.
No, it does.
So all those switchbacks are
No.
on Ashland, that's right.
Correct.
this is my point. When we come out of the trails and we're heading down the hill,
Yeah,
That's Ashland.
well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, that's Ashland.
We should turn the thing over to them in Hopkinton. Don't worry, let them go with all the
That's.
switchbacks and
I
go
met,
through all the fighting. Trust me, when you start screwing around with the state park, you think people.
No, Eric, we already went through that with,
when Jane and I met with
we
Hollenbeck
already
and
went through that.
Guy, we had that discussion and left it.
They're fine with it. They own the property. The Hopkinton State Park, the state owns the property,
that's right.
and they're
So which
fine
town it
with
is doesn't
our
really
plan.
matter,
They
so-
just want two choices.
Okay, I got it.
And we already
I was gonna say,
did.
why should we do Ashland's work for them?
No,
But
it has
that is
nothing to do
generally
with Ashland.
Feasible
think-
sentiment, but.
I think those connections will work themselves out once we get the Mass Trails grant and do our feasibility studies on that.
So as it happens, Joel Arbeitman from Ashland was there, as was a representative in Spilka's office, and also Yolanda Grease from the select board of Ashland, and Preston, I forget his name, has been on the planning board or select board a lot of the time. And also has worked with Joel on Ashland trails. You probably know Preston, right, Yolanda? Anyway, so we also talked, one thing, maybe I didn't know this. They actually removed the old bridge that had been over the dam spillway. And they
Yes.
placed and they put a prefab bridge over that span that unfortunately Kevin didn't know the price tag for, but he seemed to think that wasn't a very expensive thing to do for the reason that that particular bridge doesn't have any problems with foundations on both sides. And that, actually placing a prefab bridge when you got a solid base on both sides is actually rather easy.
Is
But it's only like 15 feet.
No, it's a lot more than that. It's more like 40.
Just for clarification, where's the location of this bridge?
Onto
On,
the,
it's
From
right
the
on
parking
dam.
lot? From the parking
Yes.
lot to the dam?
Yeah, so you know
Yes.
how there had been a wooden bridge, there had been a wooden bridge
Mhm.
there that required you to go up a step, so it wasn't wheelchair compliant.
Mm-hmm.
The new bridge is flat on both sides, so you can bike across it if you're daring enough. You've got the,
It's
you got
gotta
the
be
balls
at
of the
least
bridge
4 or
fairly
5 feet
close,
wide.
but a wheelchair would have an
Barely.
easy time right
Mhm.
now because
Mhm.
it's flat and it's all one
Mhm.
span. Better than the bridges that they have
I'll have
on
to
the
take a
on the
look at
Riverwalk,
Mhm.
where they
Uh-huh.
have the
just,
the
my
wheelchair.
memory is it's pretty.
Do you know when they replaced
I
it?
don't know when they did it. I didn't.
Oh, they did it
Last
over
Year,
this,
because I was down there last year. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
and because you couldn't walk, I walked over there a
Okay,
lot.
thank you.
That's all interesting, but what's it have to do with our trail?
Just plain, that there is an
Bridge.
easier way now. For whatever reason, and I was a little puzzled by this, the whole group of us started walking down the Aikens path. We got as far as the long, trail.
Mhm.
And, what they were talking about was the desirability of connecting to the Southport train station. That's
Right.
Oh, uh-huh.
Well,
Neat.
that's one of the reasons why there's,
Southborough has been very, very, very non-cooperative.
I-
That trail is one I'm working on with the Historic Commission.
yeah, sure. And they mentioned the old bridge there.
Old stone bridge there. Mhm.
We've got a plan. I mean, we're all approved. We're
Neat.
trying to buy granite. We're
That's neat.
doing the whole thing. And Southborough has refused to participate in any of the payment for it. And we just took the mature approach and said, the hell with them, we're gonna continue this thing through. There's two bridges. First one's in Hopkinton, the second one, if you're on that trail, there's two bridges, okay?
Huh.
Second one is in Southborough.
Huh. I haven't walked the trail, just seen the stone bridge that you can see
Well,
from
there's
the road.
stone
That-
bridges, they're identical.
Uh-huh, I see. That's,
You can't see them now, there's too much foliage.
yeah,
But they're both arch bridges, they're
yes.
same thing.
I've explored all around one, but Yeah.
We tried to take,
Then the
we
time-
tried to take the old granite out of the rivers that had been part of it. And we had contracted to do that. And the Conservation Commission said, no, you can't take anything out of the river. Now we're buying $40,000 worth of granite to replace what we could lift out of the river.
Fell into the river. Place.
That's a great argument.
Mm.
There probably isn't, I don't know, is there a river now, or was there?
Well, that's the
Yeah.
beginning of
It's the
the,
beginning
Yep.
of the summer.
Well, I mean, but you know, there's been low water. Cold Spring
yes,
Brook has
it's low
had very little running water and it going into National
oh,
Reservoir.
I think,
So let's move along.
I think there is.
There probably is, yeah.
So good luck with that project. I think it's a worthy project. And it would show the connectivity.
Done.
Yeah.
But basically what we're gonna have, what was there originally was granite sides on the bridge with steel members up through and making a, what do you call it, a railing.
Yeah.
We're recreating that down through there.
So can we consider
I love
that a
that spot.
liaison report from the Historical Commission?
Huh?
Can we consider
Yes.
that as a liaison?
Yes,
Okay.
There has been action from
Okay.
TCMC on working out the spur trail heading towards Lumber Street. But I don't think I really want to say any further than that, just that we are working on, TCMC, which I'm no longer on, is working on that, and they're, you know, they're marking out the trails on the way in Peters. I think they're gonna actually start doing some preliminary work fairly soon. So right now, I guess some of those houses on Chamberlain Street have been sold, but many of them still haven't been. And so in this case, the trail is going to be marked as to how it's crossing that development, mostly before those houses get sold, which is an ideal situation. That's all I can say about that.
So anything else on liaison? I don't know.
Nothing from my end, nothing,
nothing from,
nothing
I haven't
overlaps.
seen Norman since our last meeting, and CPC hasn't met since our last meeting.
Yeah.
Great.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah.
Jane, may I check? So the spur, can you, give me just-
TCFC is interested on constructing and seeking more money for and engineering a spur trail that would extend from the center trail
center trail? Okay,
towards Lumber Street.
thank you.
And, you know, the first part of that is to get up to the Chamberlain Wheelan
Development.
development.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a fire road between the two of those, so it's got to cross that fire
Oh.
road.
Can't use the fire.
And, you know, it's going to be contiguous to the upper trail system, which is why it's of some interest to us. And if
Yes.
we were to do the western route, the Western Trails Club route would likely take the first part of that.
Yeah.
And could,
The southern
extent-
part, the
y- y-
whole southern part.
yeah. So, part of, you know, it makes it easier to do the western route, whether that be you know, a mixed use path or just plain a simple trail in the woods.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Excuse
Okay,
me, Chair.
yes,
At a future meeting, I should give a treasurer's report, right?
yes.
So is our next meeting the 7th? I don't want to jump too far ahead, but my phone died, so I don't know the date.
No, we canceled that meeting because it's like a day or two after Labor Day
Is
weekend.
it canceled? Okay.
We canceled that at our last meeting. Our next meeting will be the third Wednesday of September,
Okay. Well, I can give a treasurer's report.
as I remember.
He's got a mental filing cabinet. Okay, well, if the chair or the group want, I propose that I can give a treasurer's report at that meeting in
September, what was the next?
The third,
the 21st.
21st.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Uh,
minutes.
yeah, minutes. I hope everyone got a chance to review the minutes. There was.
Well done. I
Yep.
Change a word
Oh,
that Elaine wrote.
There's a period that I was gonna,
Yep,
Yes, there's a.
I will make, there's
period.
one
which is
recommendation
not
and I
even a
will make
crucial
that.
period. I thought it was, but it is,
20, July 27, right?
It's August 1,
Oh,
but short of that, I thought they were fun.
yeah.
I make a motion to approve the working group minutes from 7/27 and 8/1 with an amendment on the 8/1 minutes to put a period between something and Jane.
I don't think you have to mention that.
Okay.
I'll take care of it and
All right, approve the minutes.
Second.
as amended.
Okay.
All right, so I've got a first and a second. You first, who made the motion?
Cynthia did, didn't she?
I did.
You made the motion,
Mhm.
Eric seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
What about 8/3 minutes?
I make a motion that we approve
I-
8-3 minutes
Yeah.
as written.
Yes,
Second,
those were Lean's minutes. All right, all in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's a good meeting, everyone.
Yeah. Finally
Okay,
done an
rest your
efficient
voice,
meeting.
Jane.
Yes.
So we
Yeah,
can,
Good.
end the.
that, it